Fanatics is making big move after big move. We all saw the acquisition of PWCC, but the bigger question is, what's next and who's next? We'll tell you what we think now. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another episode of Cards on the Table. And what a week it has been for the sports card hobby. We, of course, had the breaking news that Fanatics acquired PWCC earlier in this week, and there's been a lot of Fanatics news recently. There's been rumors that they've signed some of the top athletes to exclusive autograph deals. Of course, it wasn't that long ago that they were stealing employees away from Panini. It seems like Fanatics is making a whole bunch of moves at the moment. Now, we all know about that, but my question for you, gentlemen, is what's next? And Ben, it's exciting to have you on the show today, sir, filling in for Teapot.
Thanks for having me back.
We're happy to have you here. And Doug, it's always a delight, sir, to have you on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We're going to start with you, Doug,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
What is next? What do you think Fanatics does from here?
Well, I've seen some rumors that we're next.
I have seen that as well.
Are we being
No
quiet?
comment. No comment. No, we are not. We are not. They may have enough money to buy PWCC,
But not me. Well, me.
not
Think
enough to buy
me.
Sports Card Investor. No, they'd have to take out some loans to make that happen.
So there's a couple of obvious answers to this, right? I think acquiring Panini is a very obvious next step and something we've been speculating on for a year at least, I would say by now. So any day now, let's get that thing taken care of. I think grading is the obvious step beyond that. So, obviously we see the sort of ecosystem that Fanatics is building right now, and that's a big missing piece is grading. I've seen some speculation on which company that might be if they go after Beckett or someone like that. But so that's a big missing piece. They're going to have the product, the licensing, the distribution, the marketplaces. Fanatics Live is coming at some point as well. So now they've got vaults. They've got pretty much every angle covered. So if the goal is to create this all-encompassing ecosystem, that's kind of where we have to go.
So you think it's only a matter of time till they get into grading, and you think that
Sure.
they get into that through acquisition? That seems to be what a lot of people think is going to happen.
I mean, I'm just following the rumors. I don't have any way of knowing where they're at on that, but that's the fastest way for sure, right?
Sure. And you've got some grading companies out there right now that, at least one in Beckett, which has had some public challenges recently, and we've seen their sales numbers in terms of the number of cards they're grading and taking in. Those numbers have been dropping while other companies like SGC and PSA have been steadily rising. So is Beckett a target? Do you see something like that happening, Ben, or do you have a different idea for what's next?
So, my idea of what I hope they do and what I think they do is going to be drastically different. If I'm Fanatics, I am going to target some a grading company like BGS. It just makes a lot of sense. They sort of seem like they're floundering at this point. And if I'm Beckett, I probably hope that Fanatics comes calling as well. Now, for me personally, I sort of hope they wrap up whatever is going on with Panini, and then I want them to stop. Just stop doing
it.
Stop doing this stuff. Stop acquiring other companies, because I think there needs to be a certain degree of separation, especially when it comes to third-party grading and when it comes to data tools. A lot of people scoff at collectors consolidating Golden with PSA and Card Ladder. I think this could be potentially even more drastic, where you've got the company that's making the cards is distributing the cards. They're selling them on their marketplaces with singles, as well as the breaking aspect. And then now they're going to be grading the cards.
It is a little weird. Don't you think it is a little weird to have the same company manufacturing the cards and then grading their own cards? Is that a conflict of interest?
I think that's potentially there. I mean, there's certainly an opportunity for that. And whether or not it ever happens, people will be screaming that, right? Everybody is going to claim huge conflict of interest. This grade was undeserved. It's, that conspiracy would live on forever. So it'd be great to avoid that. I'm with Ben on that. I'd be very happy to see them not acquire a grading company and let the other people handle it.
I agree. I do agree with both you guys. Panini is first and foremost. We would love to see that happen. Yeah. We'd love to see that happen, especially now that there's talk that Fanatics is signing exclusive autograph deals with some of next year's key rookies. So those guys may not have autographs and Panini products. Oh, gosh, that's not going to be good for collectors in the sports card hobby. So,
no.
So it would be great if Fanatics could actually be the ones producing the cards so that they could have the autographs on them for sure. You know, I was pretty convinced that Fanatics would not make a play at a grading company anytime soon. I think PWCC was more of an opportunistic play. It just came up at the moment. They weren't necessarily actively shopping, but it just presented itself with the fact that PWCC needed to get acquired. But Northeast Ohio Sports Cards, NEO Sports Cards on YouTube, great YouTuber. He's done a couple of really interesting videos about like what Fanatics does from here, and he made the point that Fanatics has a history throughout their organization of buying distressed assets at low dollar values. They just did it with that sports betting company they acquired. They just did it with PWCC. I don't know Beckett's financials. I don't know where they're at right now, but you have to think that they are less valuable as an organization today than they were a couple of years ago with how some of their numbers have dropped. So maybe that is blood in the water for Fanatics, and maybe they do pounce and get Beckett in a potentially distressed asset type situation if the opportunity presents. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot more thoughts on this than I have time to share here, guys, but I did do an episode of the Jeff Wilson Show. It's my own personal podcast and my own personal YouTube show where I talked for about 45 minutes about what I think Fanatics moves have been and what their next moves may be. So check out the Jeff Wilson Show. Just go on YouTube and search for the Jeff Wilson Show, and you will find that episode. It just released this morning. Okay, guys, another important thing happening right now in the sports card market is Pristine is having an elite auction. There are some cards that really caught my eye, so this is one I love. In 1996, Finest Basketball re-released a refractor version of the iconic 1980 Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Dr. J card, right?
Saw that card. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, and so they've got the refractor version, but they've got where all three of those all-time greats have autographed it, and it's an authentic autograph, Beckett graded autograph, Beckett certified autograph. I've got my eye on that. Ben, what do you have your eye on?
So it's pretty timely with the NBA playoffs, but 2016-2017 Studio, the original from downtown Jimmy Butler SGC 10.
Jimmy Buckets.
Those are hard to find. That's a great pick. I like that pick. How about you, Doug?
Going with the 2019 gold standard Leo Messi patch auto. It's a double patch auto, and it's match worn patches as well from his time at Barcelona.
Wow.
And it's numbered out of 7, SGC 95. The patches are awesome. It's the full Barcelona patch on one of the patches. Really, really great card. You can't ever go wrong with Leo Messi autos, but match worn patches as well.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All of this and more is right now at pristineauction.com. And when you register for an account at pristineauction.com, put in promo code SCI when you register. You'll get $10 in credit towards your first auction purchase. Okay, Ben, let's talk about this next topic about affordable inserts. So Teapot, in his Market Movers YouTube video this past weekend on the Market Movers channel, he went through time and looked at different inserts that are affordable pickups that he thought might be good pickups today for your PC, and maybe some of them might have some long-term staying power from an investment as well. What are your favorite inserts, Ben, and which ones do you like targeting when you're out there looking for cards?
Yeah, so I'd like to point out that he did that episode. The 2 inserts that he had on the table were both mine.
Ah, nice.
He pulled those from my desk. My David Robinson Big Men on Court, which is one of my favorite card sets of all time, and then Trae Young Purple My House, which is one of my favorites from ultra modern sets. But one thing that I really like to look at when it comes to some of these different inserts, these high quality inserts, is what they're gonna gem. And so one thing that I did is I went and found one of my favorite inserts, Blank Slate. Yeah,
I love it.
I knew he was gonna say it, yeah.
I love it.
Doug knows it, Blank Slate, and I went over to Gem Rate. Our friend Ryan over at Gem Rate runs that, and I went through some of the years. Do you know what the Gem Rate is on some of those blank slates?
80%.
I know the PSA 10s, though, are impossibly difficult to find. So if it's truly that high of a gem rate, then they're just so short printed to begin with.
So 2017, the 2017 gem rate, 91%.
Wow.
2019, 68%.
Okay.
2020, 88%.
Wow.
2021, 79%.
Okay. So I guess they're just tough cards in general to find. They're not tough, though, if you find one to get a PSA 10, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the surface being sort of, there's some type of texture on it, so I assume that.
Like a candy canvas style.
Yeah, so
and they're borderless cards, so centering is hard to knock off.
Right.
But that's the stuff that I look for. Is it going to gem well? Does it have a cool classic look?
Yeah.
Blank slate checks those boxes.
Okay, I like that pick. That's savvy of you, Ben. I'm impressed with you. That's
Even
good.
though Doug
Let's
crapped
see if
on
Doug
it.
has as savvy of a pick over here.
No, I didn't crap on it at all. We've had this conversation multiple times in the past, so I just kind of knew where you're going with that. So as far as like affordable inserts, that's pretty difficult with a lot of the hyped ultra-modern stuff. Kaboom and Downtown and Color Blast, Stained Glass, those aren't going to be necessarily affordable. I think of something from the junk wax era like Provisions. I love Provisions as an insert, and they're really affordable.
Yeah, those are neat.
You can get PSA 9, PSA 10 Provisions that look really cool and have that nostalgic feel for a pretty low price. Ultra modern, I'm still chasing 2019 Optic My House Hollows and PSA 10s. I've almost got the full set, but I've been stalled. I've been stalled forever on the last 2 cards in that set. But those are pretty affordable. None of those cards are like over $100 in PSA 10, so I really like those. I was going to talk a little bit about Blank Slate as well. I think from ultra modern stuff, Court Kings does a really good job. And one of the reasons you don't see as many blank slates is because they have multiple case hits. So Aurora can be one of the case hits, something like State of the Art or blank slate. So it's not like you're going to get a blank slate every case. You're going to get one of those 3 every case. So it's almost like every 3rd case or something like that, right? But they all look really good. They have typically high gem rates for the most part. And some of those you can find at not too expensive of a price. I like those a lot too.
I'm going to take you back to the 90s. I love 1997, the Platinum Portraits from Skybox. Yeah. And then the following year, they made them even better. Skybox Molten Metal Fusion from 1998. It was kind of the Platinum Portraits design, but then with an image of the full image of the player on it as well. Those cards are beautiful. They are not affordable if you're going for Jordan or Kobe or Shaq or any of the big players of that era. But if you're willing to go for a secondary player from that time period, they can be a little bit more affordable to pick up, and they are just beautiful. So check those out.
I will say,
from the late 90s.
I will say really quickly, this is all from a collector's perspective, right? If we're talking about investing, I actually might tell people to steer away a little bit or be cautious of inserts, because I really think, especially ultra modern stuff, is getting a little overhyped and a little watered down. There's so much Kaboom and Color Blast coming out every year. I'm actually kind of fading from some of that stuff. So collect what you like.
I have mixed feelings on that. I do think that there's a lot of overprinting of ultra modern in general, but I kind of feel like something like Kaboom might hold the test of time the same way that some of those iconic 90s inserts have done.
Maybe. I'm just a little burned out on it, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of it out there. I understand. All right, guys, we have some great other topics to tackle, such as Topps' recent Dutch auction of Bowman Sapphire and card growth potential that we're seeing in the NBA playoffs. But first, a quick break. Go download the Market Movers app right now and you can try it out for free. Just go to the App Store on your phone and search for Market Movers. Grab that app and try it out. Doug, let's go to you for our first mailbag topic of the day. So it was I guess at the end of last week, last Friday, when Topps did their Dutch auction for Bowman Sapphire. Now Topps has not done this type of Dutch auction, much before. And so seems like they kind of borrowed the Panini style of doing the Dutch auction, where they had a starting price and they had a floor price, and the price was dropping in time increments. Yeah. You could buy in whenever you wanted. And but then whatever price you paid, you were locked in at, right? So it wasn't the collector-friendly version that Zero Cool had tried, where everybody got the lowest price. Instead, you kind of got locked in at whatever price you paid. It did sell out, and it actually sold out just above the floor. There were some people that said it got all the way down to the floor, but apparently there was a website error, go figure, where it was showing it going below where it actually did. It sold out above the floor, but just like a level above the floor. I think from Topps and Fanatics perspective, it was a success.
I'm sure.
But was this a success for you, Doug? And do you like these types of Dutch auctions? And do you see this being how many cards are sold going forward?
That was not a success for collectors, investors, flippers, whatever you are. unless you're Topps Fanatics, this was not a success at all. First of all, they set the floor at double what the product cost last year. They explained why. Apparently, they cut the print run in half, and there's more parallels in there.
Yes, there were reasons why they did that, but
without being fully transparent up front about that and making that very obvious, it's really bad optically to double your floor price. And you and I have talked about this. We talked about it in Dallas, so I know, we align on this. And I don't like Dutch auctions at all because unless you bought at the floor, you have immediately lost money, and maybe a lot of money depending on how early you got in, because there's pressure to try to get this product before it sells out. You don't know where it's going to sell out, but that pressure to get it could cause you to pay several tiers above the floor, where the closeout price.
And then you've instantly lost value, which
instantly
stinks, right?
Then that probably, not probably, it does negatively affect the secondhand market, because how are you going to get that money back?
Yeah.
Then you have to put it on eBay at even higher prices, or you have to break it at even higher prices, and that extra cost gets tacked on to the end user, in this case, the end collector. Dutch auctions are the worst.
You agree?
I hated it.
Okay.
I hated it.
It stinks.
It stinks and it sucks. So the thing that I worry about here is there are a lot of holes that we can poke, in things that Topps does, Fanatics does, that Panini does. The Dutch auctions with Panini is one of the most universally disliked things they do. And so why would you just double down on that? And then especially Michael Rubin, if I remember correctly, has said that that isn't something that he's wanted to do.
Yeah.
He wanted to look at this a little bit differently. I'm not sure that a lottery system is exactly the right way to go. Anybody that has used the sneakers app with Nike knows that that can be just a complete nightmare. So I don't know that that's a solution, but we have to do something better than picking something that's universally disliked about Panini and just copying it.
People don't love Josh Luber's name in this hobby sometimes, but his blind auction concept was really cool. I know we talked about that.
I loved his system, and Zero Cool used that. So Fanatics has used that system, and what their system was everyone put in bids as to what they were willing to pay, and you had like 48 hours to put in a bid, and then it determined what that bottom price was going to be based on all the bids, but then everybody paid that price. So nobody got screwed. Everybody who bought the product paid the same price and paid the lowest price right above the cut line. To me, that is the most collector-friendly, fair way of doing it. I was really expecting and hoping that Topps was going to adopt that, and I was kind of surprised when they did it the Panini style way. I agree, I don't like it. I hope that they reconsider and go back to the Zero Cool method of doing it if they're going to continue to do Dutch auctions in the future. I like the Dutch auctions. I just don't like the method that they chose to adopt to do it with. Okay, let's go to our next mailbag topic, and this was around card growth in the NBA playoffs. So it's been quite the playoffs. And we've seen cards already go up and down like wild these playoffs. I mean, you got a lot of the stars of the Nuggets and the Heat whose card prices have doubled, tripled over the course of the playoffs. It's been really interesting. You've seen other guys who, fell off earlier than expected, and their cards have been, falling ever since. So what do we make of the NBA playoffs from a card value perspective? I'm going to start with you, Doug.
All right. Everybody knows this. I'm going to talk about my guy, Jamal Murray. There's no way to avoid it, though. Let's go back to the bubble playoffs. Jamal Murray was arguably the top performer in the bubble. His duels against Donovan Mitchell were the most fun to watch out of anything in the bubble playoffs. And he saw a nice period of growth from those performances, but then he tore his ACL, missed a ton of time, and people forgot about him again. And now here he is, arguably one of the top performers in the entire playoffs. First player ever in conference finals history to average 30 points a game on 50, 40, 90 shooting. So he's incredible. He's a little overshadowed by the fact that he's got Jokic on his team. He's got the best player in the NBA on his team. So it's okay to be the second best player on your team if the other guy is the best player in the entire league, right? Full disclosure before anybody goes all pump and dump on me, I own a lot of Murray. I've got some Murray for sale.
Uh-oh.
Full disclosure.
Here we go.
Full disclosure.
This
Kentucky
guy.
Wildcat boy over here.
Typical
Typical Wildcat.
I own a lot. If he's a Wildcat, I own him. But Murray's, okay, let's go back real quick. Murray's prices have gone up a lot, and they're still nowhere near what they need to be. He's one of the best players in the NBA, period. He's seen like 40% growth in this month alone, and that's not enough. You can still get a lot of Murray for under $100. You can get PSA 10 base rookies for under $100, Prism, Select, Optic, you name it. He's way too cheap still.
By the way, I just put some of that Select wax up for sale. Remember all that Select wax? $500,000 worth of Select cases that I bought a few years ago?
Famously.
They are actually ending tonight in PWCC's premier auction. Not all of them, but I put up a 2016 case of Select basketball, Jamal Murray's rookie year.
Give me a case, let's break it.
I put up a 2015 case with Jokic, and I put up a 2017 case, two 2017 cases with Tatum. Maybe not looking good. But Bam Adebayo's in 2017 too, isn't he?
So he's in Fox, Malik Monk, and Lonzo Ball.
There you go. There you go. Look at that. Amazing. Ben, your thoughts on NBA?
The guy that I'm looking at is Austin Reeves. This is strictly from a price standpoint where he's starting versus where he could actually be. Probably going to sign a big fat contract this offseason. Obviously, being in the purple and gold is going to help. If LeBron comes back, he has talked so highly about Austin Reeves. And I think he's actually a better version. We saw this a lot in the hobby with like Alex Caruso, but I think he's like a much better version of what Alex Caruso was, as like the token white guy that people want to get behind for whatever reason. And Austin Reeves,
he was fun to watch. I love when he hit that half-court shot. That was a lot of fun. He's fun to watch. But both you guys are wrong. The correct answer is that you should be looking at the guys who got bounced early, whose card prices are going down, not the guys who are hot as can be right now. Come on, you got to look at a Giannis or
never heard of him.
Dare I say even John Morant? Dare I say those words? Dare I say those words?
Don't do that.
No.
Card prices are getting pretty low. I don't know. They might go down a little more. Suspension news pending. I'm sure there's going to be something big there.
And way to go out on a limb. You like Giannis. Teapot's not here, but he's still here.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, thank you very much for watching. Go check out Market Movers. Download the Market Movers app on your phone right now, and give the show a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. We appreciate you. See you for the next one. Take care.